Wave News at 3.
Thanks for joining us here on Wave News at 3. I'm Jolles. Myra and Zari is off. We have new developments this afternoon in a deadly crash in Clark County, Indiana, that shut down miles of I-65 North for hours overnight. Indiana State Police say 55-year-old Matthew Campbell of Austin was killed in that crash. It happened around 1:45 this morning on I-65 North near Henryville. According to ISP, a large industrial air conditioning unit fell off of a pickup and onto the interstate, where Campbell then crashed into it. At the exact moment he got out to check the damage, Campbell was then struck by a UPS truck. The UPS driver was switching lanes to avoid his car. UPS released a statement on this crash this morning, saying in part they are aware of an accident involving a UPS feeder truck early this morning and that UPS is working with local authorities to investigate the situation. They also say their thoughts and prayers go out to all of those involved. A Kentucky state lawmaker from Louisville is calling for an audit of Jefferson County Public Schools after the transportation disaster we saw on the first day of school. Republican Jason Nemes drafted a letter to the state auditor requesting a financial and management audit of the district over the past decade. Nemes claims just 43% of the district's funding goes to classroom teachers, while 369 administrators are paid six-figure salaries. And he says the recent bus disaster is just the tip of the iceberg. Nemes points to the weapons found in schools and poor academic performance. Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio addressed the letter during an interview this morning on WHAS radio. He said improvements come with a price, and the district needs more help from Frankfurt, not another audit.
We are struggling right now to get teachers in every classroom. We're struggling to get bus drivers on buses. We're struggling to have instructional assistants in classrooms. This is not just JCPS. This is all over the Commonwealth. You know, every single school district is struggling with this. So I think they should be spending every second of their time helping us with solutions to these problems, as opposed to just saying we're going to audit JCPS.
And during that interview, Dr. Polio said the district is looking to finally start early education classes on September 25th. They were scheduled to begin August 23rd, but were pushed back because of the transportation issues. Well, nice fall-like weather today with a few downpours. Meteorologist Brian Good joins us now. And Brian, you're saying this might be the last rain we get for a while.
Yeah, a long, dry stretch of weather is coming our way. So let's hope, fingers crossed, we get something out of the next couple of hours as downpours are trying to form just north and west of Louisville. Right now, looking live here in New Albany, it's quiet. Now even the flags are blowing, but it's quite warm. The little hints of sun we picked up have pushed us well into the 70s. Here is a look at the satellite, and you see we had that little patch of clearing, heated the ground up, and now we're getting this little broken line of some showers. No lightning yet being detected, but I wouldn't be surprised if we were to get some lightning strikes out of this. It's trying to connect from roughly around Vanderburgh County all the way into Orange County, Crawford County, Washington, as well as Jackson to the north and west of Louisville. I got a feeling this is all going to be able to connect enough that where it will drift right across southern Indiana. No doubt, if you're north of the Ohio River, this is a good spot to be to get one of these downpours that could put down maybe up to 1/4 of an inch in some cases. I mean, that seemed like a lot of rain, but trust me, it's something compared to what we've had and where we're going on the rain side of things. In Louisville, it's iffy if they'll hold it all together to cross into downtown or over the river, but it's at least possible. You can see there's enough fuel around along the rivers for the next 2 to 3 hours to fuel them, to keep them going. So I do think at least there's a decent chance to get at least some downpours around, hopefully enough to get your lawn water there. Then after they fade out, that's it. Otherwise, overnight tonight, it's fog we're going to be tracking. More on that and how the rest of that extended is looking in just a few more minutes, Ward.
All right, Brian, we'll see you later. Well, it's crunch time on Capitol Hill. The House is back from recess, joining their Senate colleagues. Congress faces a government shutdown if they don't act fast. NBC's Bree Jackson explains from Washington.
With both chambers of Congress back in session today, lawmakers already face a deadline: fund the federal government by September 30th or risk the consequences of a shutdown.
The only way we'll avoid a shutdown is through bipartisanship in both houses, and time is short to get it done.
Congressional leaders agree a short-term measure is needed to give lawmakers more time to hammer out a long-term deal. One sticking point is providing more funding to Ukraine. There's bipartisan support in the Senate, but not the House.
They just want to spend a lot of money. Too much money. We've got too big of debt. In the House, we're trying to save the American taxpayers money.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is also dealing with an internal battle. Some far-right Republicans demand an impeachment inquiry into President Biden as part of any agreement, setting the House up for a bitter debate.
we need to pursue an impeachment inquiry and go down that road.
I am more focused on the issues that I think Americans care deeply about.
Joe Biden hasn't done anything wrong.
After a weekend of strengthening ties with foreign partners, President Biden returned to Washington overnight and to a divided Congress. And there are just 11 working days for Congress to act to avoid a government shutdown. In Washington, Bree Jackson, back to you.
Well, a conference held this week at the Galt House in downtown Louisville is all about keeping Kentucky's children safe from abuse and neglect. Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky is hosting their annual Kids Are Worth It conference. It's a two-day event with a total of 40 workshops, everything from suicide prevention and eating disorders to recognizing the signs of abuse and navigating the court system. Governor Andy Beshear stopped by the conference this morning to talk about the importance of this work.
Every time we step in to protect a child, we do important things for their future and for their lives, but the most important thing we can do is to prevent that abuse from ever occurring. That's somebody making a call when they notice something looks off, but it's also about stepping in with early intervention, stabilizing families that are dealing with really stressful situations.
Preventing Child Abuse Kentucky is a nonprofit that aims to build a better Kentucky by ensuring our future leaders grow up in safe, healthy environments. And TARC is working to provide more accessible services to people with disabilities and older adults. Today, TARC signed an important agreement with the citizen-led TARC Accessibility Advisory Council. The Memorandum of Understanding says TARC will give free rides to members of that council as long as the meeting or event is official business. The Accessibility Advisory Council's vice chair talked about the importance of accessibility for all when it comes to public transit.
Well, one of the primary reasons for having a metropolitan transportation company is to give accessibility to people all over the city who don't have a car, who may not be able to drive, but who need to get places.
The Advisory Council says TARC has made big improvements over the past few years. They say in July 2023, 93% of TARC rides were on time, an improvement of 3% from the year prior. Well, coming up after the break, the deadline is fast approaching for UAW and 3 major automakers to negotiate a contract. You'll hear the latest as nearly 150,000 workers prepare to go on strike if they can't strike a deal. Plus, OSHA is reporting a growing number of injuries for airline workers on the tarmac. You'll hear from employees who are still recovering from their injuries while on the job ahead at 3.
Celebrating the good news.